Fiorina 161, otherwise known as Fury 161 or just Fury for the ease of writing this script and reading it all out to you, is a barren and brutalized world, struck by harsh, unforgiving winds that make sure that no structure can resist nature's tug to erosion and decay. The planet was at one point a classified containment facility for some of the alien universe's most dangerous and fearsome individuals, until the facility was once again shut down and the site went dark, with only a few remaining inhabitants to bathe in its sty. But today we're going to be exploring the gritty and grim history of the planet and those unlucky enough to inhabit it, as well as a bit of information about where it lies and what it is. Fury is located in the outer veil of the Middle Heavens region of space, within the Neroid sector, approximately 19 to 20 light years from Earth, with the exact coordinates being classified by Weyland-Yutani. The planet is a part of a binary star system comprising of two suns. Almost all of the surface of Fury 161 is suggested to be a barren, greyish wasteland. While it still possesses a semi-breathable atmosphere, the planet could be compared to such worlds as LV-223 and LV-426 in terms of their geological features and general climate, with a few key differences. One big difference is the existence of liquid water ocean on Fury's surface. The surface temperature of the planet is quite erratic, with the temperature globally oscillating between 40 degrees during the height of most days and negative 20 degrees most nights. This massive shifting in temperature is caused by the twin suns and Fury's positioning around them. The surface is smooth and flattened in many areas, as a direct result of the powerful winds that carry around the world, almost constantly at high speeds. While Fury does have water, a breathable atmosphere, and climate conditions you think would be ideal for spawning life, there is one snag to that. The planet possesses an abnormal level of acidic chemicals. The ocean is almost entirely lifeless due to this. The rain is also affected as it has a low level of acidity, and basically all water sources on Fury require filtration before consumption. It's likely that the planet experienced a greenhouse effect at some point in its development history, either caused by humans or just before us naturally occurring, where a number of acidic and greenhouse chemicals flooded the oceans and atmosphere, making the planet less hospitable for life. Keeping with the dark trend of this world, the sky is filled with grey dark clouds and a heavy fog that not even the violent winds of the world seem to be able to whisk away. The soil composition of the planet is far too acidic, scattered and thin to properly bear traditional vegetation. And as far as we are aware, Fury has little native plant life on its surface. We can, however, see a few survive in the cracks in between the surfaces of the planet and between and under rocks. However, in these locations, they are deprived of sunlight and find it very difficult to fuel their growth, and so remain small and discoloured. There is also a large supply of atmospheric oxygen coming from the oceans instead of vegetation. While the planet does possess a few indigenous species, these are few and far between and have remained halted in their evolution due to the unchanging habitat conditions present on Fury, and so they have remained small due to lack of nutrient supply. We know that there are a few scattered fish species inhabiting the oceans, as well as many rampant insect species that are by far the most abundant creatures on the planet, and are a mixture of both native and introduced species. The most dangerous of these native species on the planet are a louse-like species that are similar to Earth arthropods. These tiny parasites either adapted to or were previously evolved to digest keratin. Keratin, for those who do not know, is a fibrous structural protein that forms hair, nails, horns, feathers, and even hooves in animals here on Earth. Due to this fact, the parasites posed a serious problem to the humans who eventually came to inhabit Fury. Luckily, the lice only really seemed to feed on the hairs and presumably feathers due to their ease to eat through because of their small surface area. As a result, the human inhabitants of Fury were required to remove all hair from their bodies in order to stem the tide of the lice plague present on the Dark World. At some undisclosed time in the alien timeline before the year 2179, the planet Fury 161 was colonised by Weyland-Yutani, specifically due to the conditions present there. The dry, arid, and present semi-toxic state made the world perfect for heavy industrialization. After a short period, Weyland were able to construct a large-scale lead smelting facility on the planet. Soon after this, in order to run the facility, a second was established. Right after the leadworks were produced, the company funded the creation of the Double Y Syndrome Correctional Work Facility. Essentially, it was killing two birds with one planet-sized stone. Fury could act as a place to store away the DY criminals, whilst also using these same prisoners as unpaid employees in the leadworks. It's not known how long these facilities actually lasted, however we do know that at one time the Fiorina 161 Class C Work Correctional Unit housed around 5,000 inmates and a few dozen security and a few more administrative officers. Eventually, though, the facilities were shut down and the inmates dismissed either to other prisons or institutions, etc. With the closure of these facilities on Fury, it saw a very large amount of its population removed. However, a few inmates elected to remain on their own request. These sole inmates and a few company staff members were able to keep the facility in semi-operational order. As of the year 2179, the planet Fury 161 housed a complement of 22 inmates and 3 Weyland contracted custodians. The remaining inhabitants lived in the underground sections of the Foundry facility. Rarely did they venture to the surface, as the industrialization of the planet had pushed the climate from uncomfortable to nearly completely inhospitable. Their main living space consisted of basic living quarters, a wide variety of empty corridors, and storage areas, as well as a mess hall, infirmary, and morgue, among other basic amenities. During the same year, the USCS Sulaco was passing by the system on its return journey to Earth, carrying with it the survivors of the Hadley Hope incident, including Ellen Ripley, Corporal Dwayne Hicks, colonist Rebecca Jordan, and a company synthetic Bishop model. During its pass by, there was an emergency jettison from the Sulaco, caused by an electrical fire aboard. The crew members are ejected via a Type 337 EEV. This EEV module crashed into the surface of Fury 161, which resulted in the deaths of both Jordan and Corporal Hicks. Ellen Ripley survived the ordeal and was subsequently rescued by an inmate of the facility, one Dr. Clemens. Ripley was taken to their facilities and treated for her wounds and given the rundown on what had occurred. At the same time, it was realised that a FaceHugger had stowed away aboard the EEV and actually caused the fire that triggered the emergency landing on Fury. The FaceHugger escapes and impregnates the prison's dog Spike, leading to a quadrupedal xenomorph offspring being unleashed within the prisoner's midst. The EEV and Bishop were salvaged to be used for scrap, and soon after, Ripley implored Clemens to perform an autopsy on the body of Rebecca Jordan in order to determine whether she was implanted with the xenomorph Chestburster. A small funeral is held to honour Newt and Hicks as their bodies are incinerated in the molten leadworks. Not long after these events, the real terror would begin. The runner drone xenomorph matured within the leadworks air vents, and quickly began a rampant killing spree, as it one by one took the prisoners and personnel alike. This caused mass panic as the disbanded group of leftover human survivors attempted to rally against the creature. Ripley eventually is able to create a plan in order to trap the creature by filling the ventilation system with highly flammable toxic waste, which they would systematically ignite in order to flush the creature into a storeroom, which would be sealed to hold the creature until they could find a way to kill it. While the plan was smart, it ultimately resulted in the additional deaths of more prisoners as the runner Xenomorph accidentally sprung the trap early. However, nevertheless, the creature was able to be contained in the storage room. Sadly, a delusional prisoner by the name of Golic purposefully released the creature out of his obsession of idolizing it, and so the remaining survivors were back to step 1. At about this time, Ripley discovered that she had fallen prey to the royal facehugger. Ripley was carrying a queen embryo, a revelation that was revealed to her after she scanned herself using the leftover biometric scanner in the EEV. And this explained why the runner dog alien had shown her mercy from death on more than one occasion. With this revelation, she consults prisoner Dylan to kill her before she gives birth to the lady monstrosity. However, he refuses to allow her the easy way out before the rest of the survivors, and says that he will end her suffering, but not until the deed has been done, and she helps them survive from the Xenomorph. And so the remaining survivors banded together for a final time. They successfully lured the creature into the Foundry's moulding facility in a cat and mouse plan, with the intention of leading the alien to be doused in molten lead. The second plan results in the deaths of all but 3 in the facility, with Dylan sacrificing himself to the Xenomorph in order to keep it distracted until they could drown it in the molten lead. While their plan succeeded, the alien was not slain. It was only finally destroyed when Ripley turned the facility's water sprinklers on. This act cooled the lead too quickly, which led to it condensing and imploding the Xenomorph creature within, resulting in its final demise. Finally, believing they were out of the woods, yet another hurdle fell in Ripley's way. A Weyland-Yutani rescue team had arrived on Fury 161 aboard the vessel the USCSS Pentner. The company was alerted to the presence of the Xenomorph specimens there by personnel member Francis Aaron, and obviously made it their mission to arrive as soon as possible. Michael Bishop, company employee and the supposed designer of the Bishop model of androids, attempted to have Ripley see his version of reason, and promised that if she came with them, that they would be able to remove the chestburster from her body and she could go free and live out the rest of her days without the fear of the alien or the company. While the idea of such a path did briefly cross her mind, she inevitably decides to take her own life in order to destroy the queen within her. Ripley sacrificed herself to the molten lead below so that the company would not have their specimen, and so that many people across the stars would not have to suffer like she did. In the commotion that entailed, Aaron was killed after attempting to help Ripley, and so prisoner Morse was left the last survivor of Fury 161. In the aftermath of it all, Morse was allowed to leave a free man, and Weyland-Yutani once again lost a very valuable asset to the Ripley bloodline. The facilities on Fury were all closed for good and scrapped following Weiyu's termination of the prison's contract. As the last signs of life had left Fury, I think it's safe to assume that very little came of this desolate, destructive, and downright furious world that was Fiorina 161, and the facilities that it harboured. Before I go, I just wanted to let you guys know about the merch store called ACHERON's Colonial Marketplace. Here you can pick up a variety of ACHERON and alien themed merch from 3 distinct product lines, including shirts, hoodies, mugs, blankets, stickers, bags, and even phone cases. So if you want to support the channel and look good doing it, pick up some ACHERON merch. But what other videos would you guys like to see? If you have any ideas or have any questions you would like answered, please meet me down in the comments. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and go check out Project ACHERON on Twitter and Discord. If you want to support me further, you can become a patron where you can get access to early and behind the scenes content, the monthly and Alien Day giveaways, as well as the patron only engraved set of items. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Until then, this is Project ACHERON, signing off.